have a soldering kit, you have watched a lot of soldering video, but you are not sure how to start because you're scared of fire, you don't know if it's gonna go bad or good. Well, today I'm going to challenge you to just do it. Hi everyone, welcome to CBJ Studio Diaries. My name is C. I am a self-taught jewelry maker and I sell my jewelries through Etsy. Today we are going to learn how to make a pair of earrings. You're going to learn how to solder a small component. At the same time, the project is not ugly. Basically, you're going to be making these earrings right here. Instead of in gold filled like the one that I'm wearing, it's going to be in silver. You will understand how to solder small components, forge the wire, and polish the silver into a beautiful earrings. For this project, I'm using 18 gauge wire and 20 gauge for the stud. You are welcome to use a bigger, thicker wire gauge if it fits your style better. Okay, now let's chit chat. What is trompe-l'oeil? Trompe-l'oeil is a French word that means deceive the eye. This term is being used by the artists to describe an optical illusion to trick the brain of the viewers into thinking something that is not there. I'm using these terms freely to be describing my work. So if you are looking at the earrings right now, it seems like I'm wearing 2 earrings, right? But actually I only wear one and the other one is the trick. Originally, this earrings is supposed to be bigger and it's made in 16 gauge wire and I call it the trompe-l'oeil earrings. So these earrings right here, the one that we're going to make, is called April earrings. I call them April earrings because it is a request from my daughter for the April Fool's Day. She would like to trick her friends into believing that she has 2 piercings instead of 1. Because she has small ears, so I make it into very small diameters. This one right here is in the somewhere around 6 millimeters diameters. Anyway, you're going to know all about it just right now, okay? Let's get to work. Let's go.
To start, these are the only wires we need. Now, find the pliers and mark where the 4 millimeter diameters are, and we are going to make a U shape using the longer wire. Grab the middle and just fold the 2 sides. It has to be parallel and it has to have the same length. I want you to do the same for the other piece so you have a pair of U-shaped wire now. Next, we are stepping into a preparation for soldering. I'm filing flat just one of the 2 legs of the U-shape here. To make it faster, I'm using the rotating disc cutters, but you are welcome to file it in a different way. And don't forget to also file flat one side of the 1 centimeter of 20 gauge wire. Here I'm showing you the close-up of the difference of the edge that was filed versus the edge that was not. The one on the left was filed and they're shiny and very clean and ready to be soldered. To differentiate the two, I'm marking the sides that were treated with Sharpie. The second step is to make sure that the components are well dressed, which is to flux them correctly. This is an unglazed dish with borax stone. To extract the borax, I'm adding spritz of water and grind. The white paste then will be applied on the silver. The idea of the flux basically is to build a barrier for the components that aren't soldered to have certain resistance to heat. Step 3, the installation. If you want to solder 2 components together, you need to make sure that they are set up well on the soldering block. Some people just use a tweezer and hold the components with their hands. I don't do this. I need to have everything set up so I can just fire. I have this cross-lock tweezer number 1 that I use to hold the U-wire, and the second tweezer that is mounted on the third hand to hold the 1 centimeter pin. The two parts need to touch exactly where I sanded them earlier. To add an extra stability to the cross-lock tweezer number 1, I also put a weight on it. Now moving on to the step 4, in order to join two silver metals together, well, you need a glue. The glue is the solder chip. I'm using hard solder. That is 75% of the silver. When the fire is on, the solder will melt first thanks to its ability to melt in lower degree than the silver. Thus, it will reunite the two pieces together. If you notice that I put the solder chip here on the soldering block, it's not a coincidence. I want to melt the solder first and pick them up with titanium pick and just slowly apply the ball onto the gap. This method takes extra hand control, I know, but placing the chip directly is not an option with the setup. Plus, since the silver pieces are quite thin, there are a risk of melting them if I apply too much heat on one spot. Using the pick lets me be more precise and gentle. Well, we did it. We soldered two components together now. Still a lot of things to do, but the harder steps are behind us. The next step is to pickle. It's the process of cleaning metal, usually after soldering to remove oxidation, flux residue, and fire scale. I personally use citric acid and water. This is a softer solution and perfect for gold fill too. The metal comes out clean and ready for further work like sanding, polishing, and another important thing to remember is that to use only non-reactive tools like plastic or copper tweezers when handling the items in the pickle pot. Steel can contaminate the solution and it will cause unwanted reactions on your jewelry. From this point on, I'm just going to cut short the process and not to bore you with too much details. However, I will show you what are the main things to do in order to finish these earrings. First, after the pickle, I'm going to shape this weird U-shaped wire into a huggy shape. I grabbed the 3 steps pliers. I chose the middle, which is 7 millimeter diameters, and just shaped them into 3/4 circle. Attention, the earrings has to be on mirror image, so do not shape it identically, however doing it inversely. Next, I'm going to take off the excess silver solder as much as possible using this diamond bit. You can use sandpaper, of course, if you don't have one of these fancy bits. Moving on, I'm going to harden the huggy shape using this cute little mandrel. To make it fast, I'm going to use the metal hammer. Yes, it will leave marks for sure, but it shapes faster, it's hardened faster, and you'll see why I don't bother keeping it smooth later. This part is a bit tricky since the mandrel is in cone shaped and the huggies need to be perfectly parallel. It's best to shape one hoop at a time. Start with the one closer to the wider end of the mandrel. Then, to shape the second one, take it off and shift it to match the same diameter on the wider part of the mandrel. Why do I do it this way? In order to make sure both huggies have the same diameter and don't end up looking uneven. If you try to shape both at once on a cone-shaped mandrel, I can almost guarantee the result will be off. They will not sit square and the shape will look distorted, like as if you are seeing them with astigmatism. Here goes the hardened huggie. I am happy with the shape. You can see the hammered edges. If you like it this way, you can keep the texture. As for me, I will take these off with the same bit I used to remove the excess solder. Next is rounding the wire edges. For a comfort wear, I'm using a burr cup of 1.5 millimeters. Next is the most boring part, which is the sanding. I will not explain to you how I do it. The rule of thumb is to sand it using a sandpaper from coarse to smooth. Here I'm starting from 600 grit sandpaper. Yeah, since the edges aren't too harsh, I can start from there. If you want me to go through a detail explaining on how to sand, I can do it. Please leave a comment. I will try to make a nice, thorough video about how to sand properly. Of course, in my own way. Because I am never too careful, I want to make sure that this little piece of jewelry, regardless of its size, is sturdy enough to be worn for everyday use. So I added another hit to these parallel hoops. This time I'm using the rawhide mallet to avoid it from being scratched. Almost finished. I'm hardening the stud also this time. I don't bother hammering. I just twist the pin using the parallel pliers as far as possible until I cannot twist it anymore. Still, I have to be careful though. Final check before polishing. You are successful to make these earrings if the earrings rock back and forth when you put on a flat surface. And if you lay it flat on one side, the huggies are parallel to the table and the shape is harmonious. And they are hardened and they're shiny. They're going to be shiny soon. My question is, how is yours look like? Leave me in the comment below if you have tried making this. I would love to know the result. Finally, the polishing. As usual, I'm using aluminum oxide paste. And at the end of this polishing session, I want it to be 100% mirror finish, shiny and everything. If they are not, then I have to go back and sand the surface using the lower grade sandpaper and redo the whole thing all over again. Yes, it happens to me very often, so I need to be careful on the step when I sand. It seems like today I'm lucky. They're going to be shiny, shiny, shiny. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. This is the only footage of the end product. Sorry, friends. I have a time constraint to deliver this piece to its owner. At the same time, that afternoon I did not have my makeup on. My skin is a mess. Well, please appreciate the effort, okay?
Well, Dairy Keepers, this is it. I hope that you like it and that you actually will do the solder this time. We can do it. Both of the earrings are available on my Etsy shop. I will put both of the link on the description below. The smaller ones are available in 3 materials: silver, rose gold field, and yellow gold field, while the bigger ones only available in silver. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share as much as you can. Your support means a lot to me. We have 1,393 followers as of today, and I'm grateful for you. I really hope to grow more of this channel, and I cannot go so far without your support, so thank you so much. Stay creative, be kind to yourself and others, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.